Alright, now it's Sunday after church. It's kind of warm and sticky out there, like 65. A little cooler in here, just under 60. But it's not so humid, so I don't think I'm going to open the doors. And I said yesterday I was going to put the transmission in that black truck, but I'm not. So I didn't intentionally tell a lie, but that's what it wound up being. And the reason for that is kind of rainy and warm and sticky. And secondly, I've just spent an inordinate amount of time in the house on the computer figuring out why they flagging old videos saying they're not suitable for advertisers. Oh, and by the way, you can request a review, but you gotta have 1,000 views in the last 7 days for them to look at it. We ain't gonna get that on a 3-year-old video, are ya? So, I don't know. I don't know what's so unsuitable. I guess golf club people ain't gonna advertise. Maybe that's what they're right about. I don't know. So, I got distracted and I did a little research last night and it looks like a turbo ain't too hard to rebuild. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it my own self. Maybe. But today I'm gonna take it apart. Spotted the wife up here a minute ago, and where she went? Oh, there she is. Hey y'all, you want to see the face she gets when I push it just a little too far? Look back, look back! Alright, let me clean up a little bit. Oh, one guy said, leave the artsy stuff to the wife. I don't know, I think that's pretty neat. What do I think? I will have to admit, though, she gave me that idea. Alright, let me clean up my workbench a little bit. You know, I never clean it up totally because I don't want anybody thinking I don't have the messiest workbench in all of YouTube. That's why. I'm going to clean up a little bit and then I'm going to take apart a turbo or two. Alright, now I said earlier, I did a little research last night and I think I can rebuild this turbo my own self. And by what I mean by that is, I watched a couple YouTube videos, so I think I got it. I mean, I'm educated now. So, you know, I used to think this was some kind of wizardry and only experts did this, but YouTube has shown me that all I need to do is take out some bolts and, you know, easy. Alright, I'm jesting a little bit, but it does look pretty easy. I rebuilt a couple transmissions before. I ought to be able to rebuild a turbo. So I'm going to take this thing apart and see what it looks like. I think I'm going to go on and take this one apart too. Maybe. This one's got the wastegate housing on it. Whereas I should have had this part handy, but I didn't. This one had a wastegate, but it's bypassed. Alright, first order of business, before I get distracted too much, is take these bolts out. And I believe that housing can be turned any kind of which way, so I need to mark it real good, make sure it goes back in the same spot, because that's going to be pretty critical. I did not mark this, but if I continue on the way I am, that's no big deal, because I can put that in there and then just make sure everything's lined up right and then tighten the bolts. And another thing, you can never tell about these videos how many people's going to watch, whether it's just my regular people or if some people's going to come and try to learn something. So whatever I'm saying here today is done off of watching 2 videos off YouTube and a couple websites and then me diving in. So that's what it is. Alright, I've got the exhaust housing off. This is called the exhaust turbine. I learned just last night. This is the compressor side. And I don't think you call that a turbine, you call that a compressor wheel. or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It spins and blows air. And this spins off the exhaust. I'm not sure if that thing's damaged or not, but I kind of suspect it is. But anyways, in the two videos I watched last night, they both said that this is a left-hand thread right here. Well, unless my eyes deceive me, it ain't on this one. So I'm going to spin that off and take the compressor wheel off and see what I see after that. Okay. One thing I just noticed, this piece, which fits in here, like so, extremely loose right there. It's probably not a good sign. And then this piece, don't look like it was too bad before, but certainly got some oil in it on this go around. And it's not too gunked up in there. Anyways, let me keep going here. I'll bring you back. Alright, you can see right there, I scribed a line and marked it B, and on the other side, the opposite side, another line scribed and it's A, and the idea is line them two up and everything will be clocked in the correct position. It's pretty oily. You don't believe it, look there. Alright, let me get these 10mm 4 bolts out and disassemble that.
If red M&Ms were added to the bag in port B to get the total of 100, what is the ratio of green to yellow
I don't
to red?
know, I gotta think about it. Give me a minute. Let me turn the camera off though.
Yeah, why didn't you even
The boys up here stumping me with grade school math. Hey pal, I'm going to take apart this turbo. Can you move over that away?
Hold on. Let me see your work that you put on the table.
Don't be copying me.
Why not?
I might be wrong. One of the biggest reasons I took this thing apart is because I want to see what kind of seal I've got, and it appears that that is a single carbon seal, I think, based off my memory of my research last night. Let me dig into it just a little more here. Alright, I just drove the seal out. There, I think it's a single carbon seal. I need to make sure. Alright, this piece here just comes off like so, and I noticed, I already done it, so I already noticed there's a little bit of schmutz in there. And so on. And it looks like you can only put it on there one way, so it can't, that'd be hard to screw up. Now I need to pop that bearing out. Alright, the bearing comes out real easy. I just was in there, and then I just, well, I didn't use that pick. By the way, I bought those picks at Walmart like 20 something years ago. Made in USA. I broke a few over the years, but now I got these. Those things are expensive and too long for some stuff. It reminds me, I used to have a dozer at work. It was a D5M XL. It was too big for some stuff and too small for the rest. Alright, let me keep crack-a-lacking here. Alright, the next observation I have made is, one, the bearing is quite loose on the shaft, and it's also obvious it's spun on the outside. I don't know. I need to clean things up and look real close. I don't think it's damaged the housing. The other one did that too. I don't think. But that is all there is to a turbo. Well, there's some seals and whatnot here. This one's clearly whipped. I think there's supposed to be another one right there, and there ain't one. So I'm going to order a kit for that. I'm going to double check and make sure I'm right. Single carbon seal. And I'm going to rebuild this turbo my own self. It's a little scored there, but I don't think it's enough. It's kind of in the middle. I don't think it's enough to worry with. The only thing I am concerned with is that turbine junk or not. I think that's a little damage, or either it's a little corrosion. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and tear this one apart just for educational purposes and maybe a little parts harvesting. Alright, we're getting this one apart. It's not without its challenges, but I got them all loose. This one, I remember when I took this off the car, a 1980 Monte Carlo V6 turbo, and I think I got that car when I was 14 or 15 years old. It ran when I got it. I took it apart and it never ran again. And here I am coming up on 45 and I'm working on it again. I'm going to right the wrongs of the past. Can't always do that, you know.
Nope.
Well, I'm not really going to right the wrongs. I don't have the car. I got the turbo and the motor though. Alright, I had a little bit of a time getting that thing loose from that thing. I know those aren't technical terms, but that's all that popped in my head. And the first observation I make is this turbine wheel is in much better condition than that one. Don't show no decay right there, whereas this one does. So let me take this apart and see what I see. And similarly to the last turbo, this is not a left-hand thread. Alright, we've done so good at starting out this, I figured I'd show you. I got the little guy here who's doing his homework to help me out. This one's a little bit stickier, so I'm holding it so we don't lose everything catastrophically, and he's tapping for the punch. Ooh, just come loose. You know, sometimes you got to get the little fellers to help you out. Right, bud?
Right.
Boy, this thing's kind of sticky, ain't it? We might need to do the same trick again. Oh, it's coming apart. Here we go. And the reason that thing's so sticky is evidently that turbo was leaking whenever it ran last. Back in, what year would that be? Let me do a little quick math in my head. 1988-ish. But this shaft looks a little bit better. So the conclusion I'm quickly arriving to in my head, that's right there in my head, is I'm going to use this shaft. Which may mean that I sacrifice the turbo from the 1980 Monte Carlo from back in the day. But I think a new one of these is about 120 bucks. And I'm kind of a broke fella, you know. Plus, you never know when I might turn up one of those. Put my feelers out, people might bring me one. You never know. You know, another thing I'm missing for this turbo is the wastegate actuator. And as I'm thinking back, I remember I took this all off the car because in my 14-year-old professional mechanic's opinion, I thought that the turbo wasn't functioning because the wastegate actuator was shot. Of course, I couldn't find one at the parts store. Everybody looked like I had horns growing out of my head when I asked them for that at the local parts store. So I never got one, and it's since been lost. I think it's kind of amazing. I've kept this for 30 years. Anyway, evidently I took these bolts out too for some reason. Lord only knows what. Anyway, I want to take this apart a little bit more, see what kind of seal is in there. Best I can tell, it's the same one as this other one. But let me take it apart right fast and see what I see. You know, sometimes funny stuff pops in my head. I'm sitting here watching the little guy do his homework, which they let him use calculators. You believe that? And it made me think of, I said, don't you know? And then it made me think of my social studies teacher in high school. We were taking a test, a social studies test, which is why I thought of this social studies teacher. And we were the part on the test was we had to know the capitals of the states. I think that's what he was testing us on. And one young man appeared to be struggling significantly, and the teacher asked him, he said, "What's wrong there, bud? What you struggling with?" And the kid said, "I can't figure out what the capital of Alaska is," which happened to be one I was struggling with just a little. And the teacher said, "Oh, really? Don't you know? Don't you know?" And he said it just enough odd that it made it pop in my head that the capital of Alaska is Juneau. Don't you know? Alaska. So I got that one right. Thanks to my teacher and the confused kid who didn't catch the hint and got that one wrong. Alright, it appears this one has the exact same style seal, which again I think is a single carbon seal. And then I went ahead and pulled this snap ring apart. By the way, where'd the snap ring go? When you go to popping those out, there's a little hook right there which helps you get a little screwdriver behind it and ease it on out. You'll probably sling one all the way across the shop, just like I did. But I think new ones come in the kit. And then I popped this bearing out. This one has not spun as much as that one has inside the housing, but it has spun at some point. And this one, like they say, ran when parked. But that was 30 years ago. You know, if you think about it, that's pretty much a true statement. Everything always ran when parked. Pretty much. Then you might have tore it apart or left the hood up and water might have filled the engine or who knows what. Okay, to summarize what I've learned here today, I have not been a turbo guy. I messed with one on a 6-liter Ford I had one time and saved myself a bunch of money. The variable vanes were stuck. I freed them up and it worked great. But this is the first time I've tried to use a used turbo. So if I got any advice, I'd say don't ever try to use a used turbo without taking it apart first. This is not hard at all. You can take a turbo apart. Now I'm going to order the parts, and I may even go so far. I noticed there's cheap eBay parts and then there's some pricier ones available. I think I'm going to order one cheap eBay kit for a T3 turbo, and then I'm going to order a good one. I'm going to rebuild this one with the good best parts I have, and this one goes on my 250 Chevy with a quadrijet. And then I'm just going to compare the parts from cheap to quality, and I'm going to put this one back together for a just in case scenario and don't lose the parts scenario. Which means I better order up a new compressor wheel for that one. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but I have another one here. I got this one off of eBay a while back. These both say Air Research, and this one says Garrett, but I think they are one and the same. The guy I got it from on eBay said it was off a Grand National, and coincidentally ran when parked, or when he took it off a long time ago. I don't know. I haven't really compared these two too much, but this is quite smaller than that, it appears to me. Now, if that's a Grand National, that'd be a 3.8, just like that one is. Except this would have been fuel injected and that would have been carbureted. So, I ain't so sure this is off a Grand National. Maybe it is. I don't know. I think I paid $100 for this, which is probably too much. But I did see something stamped on it. Where did I see it? Right here. AR60M10. This one might have some good parts in it, so since this doesn't fit anything I have, maybe I'll scavenge parts out of this one too. We'll see. There's going to be another video that you can come back and watch. I'll try to link it in this one. There'll be a part 2 to this video. I'll call it Budget Turbo Assembly or something to that effect. We also have a website where you can go and order some stuff my wife makes, metal art, stuff like that, or t-shirts or what have you, or just say hello. I'll put a link there somewhere, maybe here or there, possibly there, and go check it out. Appreciate you all watching. Thank you.